Hello, everyone, and welcome. Are you ready for a super special story? Today, we're going to go deep into a forest for a tale called Puppet Show in the Forest. Let's jump right in. Okay, but wait. Before we start, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in your room at night when it's all dark and you see a shadow on the wall that looks kind of spooky? Yeah? Well, if you have, you're going to know exactly how the people in our story are feeling. All right, our adventure begins in a forest where the trees are super tall and the shadows get really long. This is our first part, in the scary forest. So let me introduce you to Rangoji. He's an amazing puppeteer and he travels with his whole group. But one day they took a wrong turn and now they're lost in this big, dark forest and the sun is starting to go down. Not good. They're surrounded by these huge trees and hearing all sorts of weird noises. So as it got darker and darker, they started to see things moving way up in the trees. Spooky shapes. Their eyes got super wide. You can just imagine them whispering, "What? What is that?" And someone else whispers back, It has to be ghosts." They were so scared. Okay, but listen, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Those spooky shapes, they weren't ghosts at all. No way. They were just a big family of super curious monkeys, hiding up in the branches watching everything. The puppeteers, they had absolutely no idea. So think about it. When you're scared, you have a choice, right? You can run away, or you can try to be brave. Well, guess what our puppeteers chose? Yep, they decided to be brave. Let's see what happens next in part 2, A Show with Courage. Even though they were totally scared, probably shaking a little bit, they remembered what they do best. They're performers. So they came up with an idea to face their fear. They were going to put on a puppet show right there in that spooky forest. So they got everything ready, their little stage, their lights, and then the show began. And the first thing you could hear breaking that quiet, creepy silence was the big, loud sound of the drums. Boom, boom, boom! That sound went all through the forest. So cool. And way up in the trees, the monkeys heard it. The drumming, the music. Suddenly, they weren't scared anymore. They were just curious. So super quietly, they started climbing down, getting a little closer to the light to see what was going on. So the show is going, and the monkeys are watching, totally fascinated. But now, it's time for the big moment. The main event is about to happen. This is part 3. Hanuman's entry. Okay, so the music starts to get louder, more exciting. The puppeteers are about to bring out their biggest, most important puppet, their hero. Do you have any guesses who it might be? And then bam! There he was, a giant, super powerful puppet of the hero Hanuman. He looked so amazing up on that screen, with big, brave eyes. The puppeteers made him jump and move around with so much energy he almost looked like he was real. Okay, now just imagine for a second. You're a little monkey and you have never seen a puppet show before. All of a sudden, this huge, colorful thing appears out of nowhere. What would you think? Yeah, they didn't know it was a puppet. To them, it looked like a real, live monster had just shown up. So, what do you think happens when a bunch of monkeys think they've just seen a giant monster? I bet you can guess. Let's find out in our next part, The Fleeing Monkeys. It was total panic. The monkeys started screaming and chattering. They were so scared. They just turned and ran. They scrambled back up the trees and ran as fast as they could, deep into the forest, until you couldn't see them anymore. Okay, so after that big scene was over, the puppeteers took a little peek from behind their screen. And what did they see? Those spooky shapes, the ghosts, were running away. They couldn't believe it. They were so relieved. They all looked at each other, so happy and surprised. "We're safe," they shouted. "Our Hanuman puppet was so strong he scared away the ghosts." They really, truly thought their puppet show had saved them. So the puppeteers feel safe, and the monkeys are long gone. It was a pretty funny mix-up, right? But every good story teaches us something. So let's talk about that in our last part. The story's moral. When the sun came up the next morning, the forest didn't seem scary at all anymore. It was actually beautiful and peaceful. The puppeteers packed up all their things, feeling super happy and thankful, and they found their way out of the forest. No problem. So, what did we learn from this whole adventure? Well, first, Remember how we talked about scary shadows? The ghosts were just like that, a big misunderstanding. It shows that sometimes things that look scary really aren't. Second, being brave, even when you're afraid, can make a huge difference, just like it did for the puppeteers. And here's the really neat part. The very same puppet that scared the monkeys away is what made the puppeteers feel safe. Isn't that interesting? And that makes me wonder. The puppeteers use their show to feel brave. So what about you? What's something that helps you feel brave when you're feeling a little bit scared? And that is our story, Puppet Show in the Forest. I really hope you had fun listening. If you did, it would be awesome if you could like this story and subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.